It doesn't seem as if commercial shipping is flowing freely once again through the Strait of Hormuz after Iran had earlier declared the waterway was open. Shipping companies are still reportedly concerned about mines and new rules Iran has imposed on using the strait. While the markets have rallied, there remains a lot of uncertainty tonight over the status of this vital artery of global trade. Well, Iran's reopened the strait because of the truce hammered out in the war between Israel and the Iranian-backed militia group Hezbollah. However, Donald Trump insists the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports will continue until a permanent peace deal is agreed in America's own war with Iran. Sarah Smith has our top story tonight from Washington.
Opening up this vital waterway was a top priority for Donald Trump. As commercial tankers carrying oil and gas have been stuck for 6 weeks, prices have risen around the world. Iranian missiles could strike tankers and other ships trying to leave the Gulf. Iran's ability to control the Strait of Hormuz is one of its most effective weapons. The American president celebrated the reopening, posting on social media, "Iran has just announced that the Strait of Iran, as he called it, is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you." Last night, he sounded very optimistic about progress towards a peace deal with Iran.
I will say the war in Iran is going along swimmingly. We can do whatever we want. And it should be ending pretty soon.
These ships may soon be on the move, thanks to the ceasefire struck yesterday between Israel and Lebanon. That was Iran's condition for reopening the strait. The Iranian Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, said, "In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage for all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remaining period of ceasefire. During that time, vessels must use these shipping lanes in what Iran calls a coordinated route close to its shore, potentially safe from mines further to the south."
The U.S. has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports.
The American naval blockade of the strait remains in place, stopping any ships that are carrying Iranian oil. Donald Trump says that will stay in effect until a final peace deal with Iran has been signed.
If we do not comply with this blockade, we will use force.
The nuclear weapon.
Listening to President Trump, it sounds as though a deal with Iran is all but concluded.
They've agreed to almost everything.
He claims Iran is ready to hand over all its nuclear material. But officials inside Iran say significant differences remain, including on nuclear issues, and serious talks are still required. Joy in the streets of Lebanon greeted the 10-day pause in hostilities with Israel, a conflict that's both separate from and connected to the war in Iran. Any disruption in the fragile ceasefire here could disrupt American talks with Iran. And that's why Donald Trump says he has banned Israel from resuming the bombing of Lebanon. Now, I have to say, Donald Trump's enthusiasm that a deal with Iran is within sight is very one-sided. We have him saying he thinks that all of this can be concluded in a couple of days and that Iran will agree to many of America's toughest conditions. But it would be astonishing, quite frankly, if Iran were to agree to halt all nuclear activity and hand over all of its nuclear material. And officials inside that country are saying something quite different from Donald Trump. They're saying that their stockpiles of nuclear material are not going anywhere and most certainly not being transferred to the United States. They do say both sides are nearing agreement on a document that would set a framework for negotiations. So that's a starting point, not an ending point. And nobody in Iran seems to think that this process can go anywhere near as quickly as Donald Trump is suggesting.
Sarah, thank you. Sarah Smith, our North American editor there in Washington. So what have the markets made of all this? Darshini David is here with me. Ships don't really seem to be moving through the strait, yet the price of oil has dropped.
Indeed, you've got to wonder if they were just in a sort of a pre-weekend party mode on trading floors. But I think this really underscores how vital that narrow shipping channel that many people hadn't heard of just a couple of months ago is to all of our economic prosperity, our bills, our ability to travel. Now, energy prices had been inching lower in recent days, and therefore we'd seen a little bit of relief coming through at the petrol pump. But what we saw today was on a different scale altogether. We saw Gas costs dropping to their lowest since the conflict began. You can see there Brent crude prices finishing almost 10% down. Shares were up, particularly those of airlines, because there's concerns about jet fuel availability easing somewhat. But has euphoria gone a bit too far? Because when you looked at that, Clive, you could see there that actually prices remain considerably above the $70 per barrel or so we saw prior to the war. And there's a couple of reasons for that. First, as we've been discussing here, the fact that in reality we're seeing very little movement, that there is great caution amongst the shipping operators we've spoken to, and this is a limited reopening, isn't it, which may only allow for those who are already stranded to move ahead. And crucially as well, that damage to infrastructure means that production of energy in the region could take years to come back on board. So even if we do see a swift resolution to this war, we are likely to see some more relief. But if you look at the impact over the last 7 weeks, that's going to take time to move through supply chains. There will be a hit to prices and to growth. The economic scars could well outlive the hostilities.
All right, Darshini, thank you. Darshini David, our Deputy Economics Editor there. Now, while the current ceasefire between the US and Iran still appears to be holding, it's due to run out next week, with both sides still far apart on agreeing the conditions for a lasting deal. Lise Doucet, our chief international correspondent, is in Tehran and reporting on condition that none of her material is used on the BBC's Persian service. These restrictions apply to all international media organizations operating inside the country.
The state's new show of force. Women loyalists with rocket launchers and their own guns. They're called the Devoted Daughters. Their march today broadcast live for hours on state TV and saluted by military chiefs. This is the order born of this war. It's more militarized, more hardline, and it believes it has the upper hand now against their arch enemy in Washington, their opponents at home. But this war has inflicted heavy losses on Iran's military capabilities, even its critical infrastructure. This was its biggest bridge, a major junction connecting Tehran to other cities. This US strike shocked Iranians, whatever their political views. Israel and the United States insist this bridge could have been used to transport troops, military equipment, so they say it's a military target and it could have been used for those purposes.
Look at this bridge now. Do you see any military equipment there? The bridge was not even finished when it was attacked. We built this bridge to help our people and the environment. Hitting the bridge was nothing but a war crime.
As the fragile ceasefire holds, the cleanup continues. And Iranians count the cost of their enmity with America. It's not clear what the target was here. Its impact was immense. Why do you think they attacked here?
I don't know. This always here for normal life. Women, children, and normal. Here, not the army.
What happened here? Why do you think this happened?
This 1 month ago, this Trump sold for the help for Iranian people. This is now this gift, yeah? A special gift.
The same message is scribbled on a wall across the street. Trump's help has arrived. Death to America. These are dark, uncertain times. Despite their bravado, Iran's leaders need a deal which lifts sanctions. Financial woes sparked the nationwide protests in January, which were crushed with lethal force. The economic crisis is even deeper now. But this is a nation whose leaders won't capitulate to President Trump's terms, whose people are divided over what direction Iran should take. Lise Doucet, BBC News, Tehran.